mutual respect, and collegiality. And I think for tonight, especially because everyone here really is part of the HKU family, I would expect that this would be the atmosphere that we will have tonight's forum in. Now, of course, in Hong Kong, at HKU, we often talk about learning outcomes. Right? So what is the learning outcome for tonight's evening? Now, look, this is part of an ongoing dialogue on some very, very important issues. Right? We're not going to solve all the problems in Hong Kong tonight. But if every one of us, one, can learn something new tonight, and if you can also gain a better understanding of someone else's perspective, if each and every one of us can satisfy both those conditions, I would say that we're achieving a lot. And I hope that that's the outcome that we can achieve tonight. Now, without further ado, I'm going to move to the rundown, what the format is for tonight. Although this is the President's Forum, we have agreed that the representative from the University Affairs Committee of the HKU Students' Union will be the first speaker. And if I may also say that it is the Students' Union, the University Affairs Committee, that has initiated tonight's event. And I think it's very appropriate that they have done that, because if you look at the constitution of the Students' Union, one of the aims of the Students' Union is to be a bridge between the university and students for the interests of not just students, but for the interests of the university as a whole and students. And I think that's very important to keep in mind, a very commendable aim. Mr. Wong will speak for 2 minutes, and then our president will give his opening remarks. And then we'll move to the Q&A portion of tonight, the heart of tonight's evening. We have the two boxes. We will combine the two very soon. I will draw 4 pieces of paper at a time, and I'll call all the names for people to come up to the microphone over here. So if there's any particular reason that you are unable to come to the microphone, just let one of our attendants know, and we'll bring a microphone to you. But ideally, we'll have everyone here lined up. 2 people will either ask a question or they can make a comment. You don't have to just ask questions. You can make a comment to express your views, because, of course, we believe in free expression here. Hopefully, we can do maybe 4 rounds of that. That's maybe about 16. But I ask everyone to keep their questions or comments short. Simply so that we can maximize the discussion. We can hear from more people this evening. And of course, if you go on too long, I will certainly let you know that you're going on too long. And then after our Q&A session, Mr. Wong will then give his closing remarks, and then our president will have the final word. And I have to say that this event is scheduled for 7:30, and we will end at 7:30 because the president has another engagement to attend to. So I ask for everyone's cooperation in trying to keep to the overall time. Okay. So with that introduction, I'm going to now ask Mr. Wong, Mr. David Wong, right? I'm very proud that he's from our law faculty, to give his opening remarks.
Fellow schoolmates, professors and staff, alumni, ladies and gentlemen. Last Friday night, students, we called for liberating HKU and protecting our city. But the demon has never been at ease, and its claws were much closer than we had imagined. Around 1 a.m. yesterday, 2 constables, along with an inspector, crept onto our campus, loitering like thieves, sneaking around as if they were spying on us. My fellow schoolmates, how can we liberate our university if we could not even protect it from the reckless invasion and surveillance of the regime. The threat to our university has been nearer than we have expected. I'm glad to see the university has taken up its duty to protect the autonomy of the university and made a clear gesture, such as lodging a complaint. The very fact that the police force provocatively breaching the protocol with the university sends us a clear message that this regime cannot be trusted. Although the police force claimed that similar event is not happening again, I would like to start the forum with the very first question. Professor Jang, what is your stance about this incident, and what will the university, on your part, prevent such ridiculous events from happening again? The aim of today's forum is about exchanging ideas, sharing, and enhancing the understanding among the university community, so as to ascertain our role in such a complicated social environment and to bring our university back together again. I believe tonight is all about wholehearted discussions. As the discord we are facing right now started by Professor Zhang's statement on the electrical protest, I would also like to invite our Vice Chancellor to say some comments on your 3rd of July statement, especially after these few days since we visited your lounge. Thank you, and I hope you all enjoy this evening, and I'll pass the time to Professor Zhang.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wang. Okay. This time I'll ask our President and Vice Chancellor, Professor Zhang, to give his opening remarks.
Good evening. You probably immediately see the difference that my friend Devin Wang, he was using an electronic device to read out. I'm using the old-fashioned piece of paper. Just make sure I don't miss anything. But that means that actually reflects there is a generation difference. And this is what this dialogue about. And we are all keen to learn from our young friends and their concerns, aspirations. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our students, staff, alumni coming tonight here. This is early dinner time, and I know because I have a trip, so everybody try to accommodate me. Thank you. And also especially thank Professor Simon Yang to moderate this session. And I know sometimes it's not an easy job for him. So we will make your job easier. On July 3rd, as Devin just mentioned, I issued a statement, short statement, withdrawing some of the criticism from our students and alumni. I understand your concern and frustrations, and I wish to say a few words before we engage the formal discussion. I'm sure you would agree that events occurred in June and July have been happening surprisingly fast. In fact, it's downward spirally downward. Situation is getting worse so quickly. At that time, I was flying back from overseas trip when I saw the news on TV on July 1st. And I was feeling very, very sad, angry, and above all, very worried about our citizens' life. If you think about in a confined environment in an electrical building, if students or protesters are engaged with the policemen in a very small space in the evening, what could happen? I had the true fear, even today, of violence. All my life, I have witnessed many unfortunate confrontations. I know once violence begins, it can easily lead to tragedy. Bloodshed can be point of low return. Violence is never a solution. I personally am against violence of any kind, by any party, at any juncture. I want to tell you, with hands in my heart, the fear of violence is the underlying cause of my immediate reaction. I wanted to remind everyone not to resort to violence. I had no intention to please or to place the blames on anyone. Of course, some of our students, alumni, also concern the university academic freedom. As I said before, academic freedom, freedom of expression, and freedom of assembly are core values of our university. I pledge to uphold these important values. We at HKU support our students in freely expressing themselves. We care about their safety and well-being. As the president of this great university, it is my moral obligation to protect our students. I'm also aware that my statement has not eased the tension in Hong Kong. One of the criticisms made by some students, alumni, and others was that my comments lacked a certain empathy for individuals engaging in peaceful demonstration and protests. Looking back, I find this criticism is perhaps fair. My short remarks indeed failed to address frustrations and aspirations of some of our own students and alumni. I'm grateful today and tonight to have this opportunity to listen and to talk to all of you tonight. And this is probably the first time in HKU, and even in Hong Kong, that we can sit down and start a dialogue since June. We come from different generations and with different political beliefs, maybe. But we can sit together in this gorgeous Lucio Hall, a historical building. Today we have about 600 students, alumni, staff, and friends here. And our media friends on the back. The whole Hong Kong is watching us. I really hope this kind of frank and direct conversation can start not only in HKU, but also at every corner of our society. We are never afraid of contrasting views. We treasure and celebrate diversity, diverse views and diverse people in Hong Kong and in HKU. I hope this type of dialogue may help all people in Hong Kong, including the government, to listen to each other, especially the true voice of our youth and Hong Kong people. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Jang. At this point now, we're going to move straight to the Q&A. We're going to mix up all the pieces of paper that we have here. That's not going to work. This is terrible.
Can I come up? This is the science.
Okay, I'm just going to randomly pull 4 out. All right, if you hear your name, please come to the front here and line up to ask your question or make your comment. The first person is Winnie Chan, who is a government and law student, class of 2020, year 5. Second person is Ivan Mack, BBA, class of 2015. I believe is that 15 or 19? Ivan Mack. Next person is John Lan, MBBS 2019. Next person is Stephen Koo Bok Kim, Bachelor's of Social Science and Government and Laws. All right. 4 individuals, please make your way up here so you can make your statement. Where's Winnie Chan? Oh, you're there. Oh, I see. Okay, I see. Please come forward, Winnie.
Thank you. So, Professor Jang, I would like to ask, although you have repeatedly said that we don't want any violence, but we all know that violence somehow is like unavoidable these days. So I would like to ask if one day, really, our Hong Kong U students who maybe just joined a protest in Admiralty or Central, and they were chased after by police officers, and they ran all the way back to Hong Kong U, and the police officers are chasing behind them. Would you allow the students to find a safe place in Hong Kong U, and would you allow the police officer to enter Hong Kong U to search them? Thank you.
Okay, so Professor Jang, you could just wait a moment. The next person is Ivan Mack.
Thank you, Professor Jang. I'm class of 2015.
15.
And soon be 2022. And you have said that in your email dated in July the 3rd, saying that your intention is not to place any blame or to please anyone, and you condemn the destructive act, then I assume you are against any kind of violence. So to sound fair, would you also condemn the brutality and the use of excessive force by the police? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Two questions.
Professor Jang.
So first question first. Thank you for this very important question. I'm sure many of our students are concerned, and definitely I'm concerned that too. Now, as far as the student, assuming, hypothetically, some student participates in the protest and running back to the campus and so on. University, for many years, we have a protocol, as many of you know that. And when the policemen actually enter the campus, they have to get consent from our university security office or forces. So that has to be in place. Without that, we cannot let anybody enter the campus. Now, that actually, in fact, happens yesterday. Some of you know that. There was an incident that policemen, in the early hours of morning, came into the campus for, in the public space, of course, not private space. But it's still, that didn't alert our security force. We lodged immediately in the early morning, in the first task in our office, we lodged a complaint to the police office, and they made apology for that. So there is a clear protocol in the university, and we follow that strictly. Now, for the second question about the police, in terms of violence, and I think many students are concerned, if there's violence, I condemn in the July 1st event, storming of the electrical building. What about on the street, that policemen also have, using certain forces, right? Now, I understand that there's, of course, observations and arguments from both sides, who used forces first and so on. I think actually the investigation will tell the truth, and that will eventually, history and investigation will, clear who made, whether the policeman made excessive force. Now, if that's the case, of course, they should be condemned.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Next person, John Lam.
Yes, I'm fresh graduate from Faculty of Medicine. I'm John Lau, not Lam.
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
So, say some comments and also questions. So, the comment is that when we know about 5 years ago in the Umbrella Revolution, how well our former Vice Chancellor, Professor Matheson, and also that from CUHK, the Professor Joseph Sung, how well have they protected our students from bringing the brutality from police? So I would like to ask questions for Professor Zhang at this moment. So what is your view of the freedom of academic? So I would like you to explicitly to further explain and also tell us about what is your view. on the academic freedom? And also, will you try and also strive to protect the freedom and also the rights of students? And will you try to protect our students from the brutality from police, regardless of our cultural and also political background? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next person, Stephen Koo.
Good evening, Mr. Zhang. Two very short questions. First, in your statement issued on the 3rd of July, you said that you encouraged every party to participate in a constructive dialogue. But wouldn't you agree that a constructive dialogue is impossible because this undemocratic government is not accountable to the people? It decided not to respond to the people's peaceful demonstrations and peaceful demands. Wouldn't you agree that we do not have the democratic means or elections to throw the officials out from power? And therefore, it's impossible to have a constructive dialogue if the officials, the government, has all the power. Second, you said that you condemned all kinds of violence, but wouldn't you agree that the murderous, abusive acts committed by the police officers, committed with bullets and tear gas, and there's a huge difference between the acts done by the police and the disobedient acts done by the protesters? Wouldn't you agree that this should attract different levels of scrutiny and criticisms? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Professor Zhang.
So there are three questions now. Let me remind, the first question is about, well, let me actually answer your question first because, so your first question is about the government in the power and whether it is legitimate act to, through the government.
Whether you can have constructive dialogue, whether you can have constructive, whether you can have constructive dialogue, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, let me answer that. Again, I'm not a politician. I'm a scholar, lead this university. First of all, let me actually clarify my role here in the university. As a leader in the university, of course, like everybody else here, we are entitled to freely express ourselves. But however, my role in the university is to provide an environment that people has the freedom to express, to assemble, and to hold academic freedom, to study anything you want to study. Right? Now, therefore, to maintain that environment, I will come back to that point, maybe some other question. To have a freely express yourself is very important. And my role is maintain that platform, not to guide you one way or the other. Okay. But secondly, come back to your point. Regarding that, whether there's possibility of a dialogue with government, and some of you, and students especially, some of you may believe the government is not by one person, one vote, right? Therefore, it's not legitimate. That's, some of you hold that view. But of course, I respect that view, and we can debate one way or the other. But even in US president is not by popular vote, by the way, if you checked the record, okay? Some president not win the majority vote and become president. So let me come back to, so now these are political and legal issues that I will refer to our expert in political science or legal aspects. But in general, nevertheless, I still hold the view that violence is not the solution. We have to keep conversations, keep dialogue, because we see so many frightening events in other countries and so on that leads nowhere. And honestly speaking, if you ask me today, my fear on July 1st, whether I still have that fear, I have to tell you, probably it's enhanced fear. Because last 2 weeks, we see more and more events. And we see the blood already. And that is very worrisome. okay? To some point, when you reach to that point of low return, that's all the tragedies and things happen, and we see that before. I know our young friends here, they may not experience some of things here in Hong Kong, but some older generations, your teachers here probably see 1970s or 67s and other events happening in Hong Kong. And also in US and elsewhere too. So we do want to, really ask our students to look for a more constructive way to have a conversation like today. We may not agree, honestly speaking, but I think we should agree on disagree. Your second point, I'm sorry.
Yes, Mr. Lau's question was about your views on academic freedom.
Okay, and as my early statement, academic freedom is very, very important. Many people ask me why Hong Kong is so successful in terms of, society. It's very vibrant. We have a great economy for many years, and this is the reason we have a freedom. That freedom actually enable our students in this great university and many other universities in territory to enjoy the way of thinking out of the box, the creativity that drives our economy, our progressiveness of the society. That's how the Hong Kong has been thriving over decades. So I think this is very important, and at the university, we hold this very dearly. Thank you. The first question I forgot now. I think there's the other early question.
I think we've probably covered them all.
Okay.
We'll probably get some more first. Okay, so another 4. Jang Yi, Bachelor of Science, Actuary, class of 2016, an alumni. Stephen Chan Chit Kwai, staff member in the Estates Office. Mr. Chan. I think it's Yi Lan Wen Chen, who's in the 3rd year of the PhD program. Is it Yi Lan Wen Chen? And Chai Jinja, Bachelor of Science, 2019. Chai Jinja, Bachelor of Science, 2019. Could you 4 please come up? All right, let's begin with Mr. Jang Yi. Please come to the microphone.
Hi, everyone. I think
Maybe speak closer to the microphone. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I think I have a mixed feeling today and for the past few weeks. And I first want to say a comment. A comment that I hope we don't, lose hope for Hong Kong. We hope we still have trust in Hong Kong, and I hope there will be leaders, and we can have discussions so that we can come out of this kind of situation. And I hope there's a brighter future in Hong Kong. And I think we have many discussions today on how the university will maybe support the freedom of the speech that people can express their views. I have a question that, because we also see that there's someone, maybe very minor people in the university, maybe use this freedom of speech to abusively say they say bad words to other people just because they hold a different view from them. So I want to ask, maybe after all these things is over, will the university establish, say, the systems that can protect the students so that, from this kind of violence? I see this, maybe this is a different kind of violence. Yeah. So maybe I want to know what was the, is there any plan in the university to protect the students so that we can still learn new things from this very good university?
All right, so protection from abusive freedom of expression. Thank you. Mr. Chan?
President Zhang, Professor Yang, students and staff, I'm Stephen Chan, the staff of Essays Office, who I worked in the university over 40 years. Since I met Professor Zhang, in the first time I spoken to you with Putonghua, so I keep on the dialogue in Putonghua. It's
Well,
because
actually,
I just prepared.
It would be better if you could speak English. I think it'd be better so everyone
Speak
could
English, probably.
Because that's the medium that we're using today.
But I was told I can speak in Putonghua before.
Maybe, yeah.
Is it?
I think it's better if you use English. That's the language we're using today. Yeah. All right. It's better if you use English, please.
But why I was told I can use Putonghua before.
Okay.
So, because I just have two minutes, can I sit
I
down?
think it's better if you use English.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to.
All right.
Okay, I can.
Okay, let's hear from Mr. Chan now.
Yeah, I accept your suggestions. What I want to tell Professor Zhang is I support the statements of violence. We condemn violence because especially in Hong Kong, a well-known international school, which is very well recognized in the public order and law. So for those violence would ruin the reputation of Hong Kong. We agree people have a right to public speech, but including everybody, of course, including presidents, students, and presidents. We should protect the right of speech, free of speech, so nobody can object it. So I always agree to have a demonstration, a very peaceful demonstration. They have a right to express their objection or different views on the government, and the administration of the governments. But all these expressions should be, according to the law of Hong Kong. So last word I want to emphasize is dialogue is our way to solve the conflicts at the moment of time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Professor Zhang, do you want to answer the first question, which is
About
No, we can have comments, actually. People have a short amount of time here. They can make a comment. They can express themselves. They can ask a question. So that was admissible. That statement was admissible. Professor Zhang.
All right. I guess the early question was about the academic freedom and also our expression, and also related to what probably some of us see on campus recently, especially probably after my July 3rd statement that there's a lot of foreign language displayed across the campus. First of all, I think academic freedom or academic expression do not include those hate expressions. I want to make it loud and clear, okay? And you can express your view, but it doesn't make that legitimate. You can make a hate speech or use a foreign language to demoralize others. And when I saw that, it's very sad. No, I didn't tell anybody, but it's very sad. I've been lived through my life over 50 years, and I never see any place use such a very strong, massive language towards individuals and others. So I want to remind everybody, freedom of speech doesn't mean you can speak anything, because if you make a hurtful and hate speech in other countries, Western countries, there's legal consequences as well. So, but however, let me come back to that. Let me share you with one small story and how hard that condensated in my heart, in my friend's heart. I was a grad student back almost 30 years ago in Berkeley. And it was a great university, but just one class. We enjoy everything else there. Just one class. There was an instructor, wonderful teacher. And he was distributing homework back to the students. And one of my friend, he said, Leo Kai, well, Kai is the last name. Leo is the first name. He was a Chinese. He's still Chinese. He was with that attitude. The whole class laughed. I was so feel bad about it. That person became a senior professor later on and so on. At one point, I came back to Berkeley after years, become a professor. And he and I, that professor, older professor, become my friend, actually. I never mentioned to him about this incident. But at one point, he said, well, Xiang, remember your classmate, Neil, now is a big CEO in a major company in Asia. We should go to him for fundraising. I said, look, I don't want to go there. And I can't tell you the reasons I don't want to go there with you. Now, of course, the senior professor already passed away and so on. Now, I want to share with you how this little instance, even make a simple comments, make feel people are discriminated, sad. That is not good for anybody. So let's work together. Not to say we are the same people, but even we are different people in this great university. We treasure the diversity. Have you thought about a beautiful painting with different colors? Why? The colors makes difference, makes the vibrance. If you have a single color, now there are some paintings of, classical or something may use a black and white color, but there's much more freedom in multiple colors. You agree, right? So we have to treasure different views, different people, different colors of skin, and let's make a great community in HKU and Hong Kong. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Yun Wen Chen.
Thank you, everyone. I think if we want to come into some consensus, it needs a long time to communicate, and especially to listen the opposite views. I saw my friends are debating on Facebook, but it looks like internet is not a good place to debate. It polarizes views at most time. So I don't know if it's possible for existing organizations to organize some offline face-to-face discussion or provide such channel and platform for those students who want to talk and also want to listen, to communicate, to exchange their views and information. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I also want to say that I talk it in English, and I want to say that there are two languages legitimate. One is Cantonese and one is English. And actually, at most of time, I prefer to speak in Cantonese. 因為我覺得廣東話其實都係中文嘅一種，所以我覺得大家都係中國人，咁我願意用廣東話同你講。
Okay, thank you, Mr. All right, Mr. Chai.
Hello, I'm a year 2 undergraduate student and I'm from science faculty. And today I know that maybe our president and our students do not have the same opinion. And so I don't want to say that whether the violence is right or wrong, but I think during the whole social movement, it's not proper to say who is perfectly right and who is definitely wrong. And I'm sure that no matter whether the violence is right or wrong, people do not like violence. But now that the violence has happened, what we should focus on today is to know the reasons behind the violence. And I think it's also the case in our campus. So before the statement of president was posted, if our president could listen to more students' opinion, if we had an opportunity to express our own opinion like today's forum before the statement, would the surroundings in the campus be better? Or can we find a better solution to the whole problem? Maybe I think the answer is correct. So I'm really hoping that today's forum is not an ending point. It should be a starting point. As a top international university, we really need more opportunities to communicate, especially during some difficult time. So I'm asking our president, do you have some proposed strategies always in the future so that we can communicate with each other? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay.
In fact, actually, I appreciate both questions. I think these two questions are in the same line about communication, how we exchange the views. Absolutely, I agree with you, both of you. We need to more dialogue, more exchange of ideas. Now, I have to say that looking at our students using their Facebook, and I'm behind, honestly speaking. I need to catch up. Even my own son, my son is at college as well. They use the Facebook and Instagram much more efficient than I use emails. So definitely we need more communications. Honestly speaking, last summer, this marks my first day of second year. I just finished the first year yesterday. And I've been visiting 10 faculties, meet with many, many thousands of students, staff, professors. And I just began last semester from January on. Start the next level of visit of faculties. Oh, I'm sorry, the faculty I visit departments. I visit 3 departments, and this fall I have 5 to line up already. But I also realized that I engage the student, especially our undergrad students, most through hall activities or college. I go there high table dinners and events or celebration of something. Maybe this is not enough. And in fact, I'm planning this fall to enhance our exchange of ideas, especially bring our local student and our non-local student together. So I propose each semester, I'm going to host a lunch or dinner at my lodge with large crowd of students, maybe 50 or 60 of them. And we, of course, it's not 500, then we cannot talk. So that way, I hope actually not only enable me to talk to our students, but also our local and non-local students can exchange ideas and so on. That is very, very essential, I want to tell you. When I was in US as a grad student, and I remember, now I don't remember his name now, there was a Hong Kong student, my sort of classmate, and he actually has a rice cooker, actually. He used it when he graduated, he was early graduate, he left to me, and he freely gave to me, and we become friends, actually, even before that. And I used that for 5 or 6 years, even after graduate study. It's a very, very deep feeling about friendship that I built with this student from Hong Kong. And later on, of course, when I become professor, I have 3 students from Hong Kong, and one of them now professor in UST, the other actually in the other university here in Hong Kong. So it's a friendship, it's a bond that can bring us together. There's a lot of things more than just whether you speak Cantonese or Putonghua or English. At the human being level, we have much more in common. Now I understand it's more convenient to speak, your friend in Cantonese or in Putonghua and so on. But we need to break these barriers and talk to each other and build a friendship. So I agree with the two students proposed, and I think we need to do more. And I think actually I will work with our Dean of Students to look at the way whether it's simply going to high table dinners, that very traditional British tradition that sits there, give a speech, and sit with maybe a group of 6 or 10 people. That's all. But maybe there's some way we can, do more different types of engagement and exchange of ideas. Thank you.
Now, Professor Jang, the second student asked something very specific, which is whether you might, in future, consult students before issuing a statement, especially if it is particularly sensitive.
Now, of course, if you ask that statement, indeed, I consult with my senior leadership, so-called SMT, you probably heard about. In the SMT meeting, I have an extensive discussion with my colleagues there, whether or not we should issue a statement and whether we should condemn the violence. And the conclusion of that meeting is yes. Now, of course, I can consult with 2,000 of our academic or administrative staff and 30,000 students as well. But we have to also be mindful that university leaders has to make a decision, not have to collect 30,000 votes or something to make a statement. So I don't think that's practical, but I think engagement with our community, maybe in the other way.
But it could just be a few student representatives. Maybe it's a small group that you could consult from time to time.
Right, I think from time to time, I think one of the things we should do more, I agree with you, yeah, that we should open more dialogue to listen to students, what they are thinking, what is their aspiration, concerns, frustrations, and I think definitely I need to do more. And last year, my first year, I thought I did a lot of high tables and things, but maybe different types of engagement. And I meet with student union leaders as well a couple of times, but that's probably not enough. I need to go to more grassroots level to understand what is our average student thinking and how we can help and understand.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, before we continue, if I could just appeal to you on 2 points. The first is that I'm starting to hear some heckling, right? Some people say something and I hear some heckling from either up there or back there. And I think it's disrespectful. So I hope we could stop that, please. And the second thing that I appeal to you to is that we use English, please, because English is the language of the university, and that's what we'll use for today's event. Okay. Alan Leung, LLB, 1982. Kathy Wong, 2017. I'm not sure from which degree or year. Please, if you could indicate that when you come up. Wong Ka Heng, Bachelor of Science, year 3. And, you put 2 in. I think some people have been naughty. They put 2 in. Lee Kwan Chi, Arts, Year 3. If all 4 of you could come up. Lee Kwang Chi, Arts, Year 3. Oh, okay. Would you mind coming down, please? Yeah, thank you. Is everyone here? Alan Leung. Mr. Leung?
Thank you, Professor Yang. Vice Chancellor, good evening. Students, professors, and alumni. I trust the Vice Chancellor needs no reminder that we are sitting at a venue where a historic event took place in 1923. And that was when Dr. Sun Yat-sen came back to his alma mater and made a speech to students and staff of this institution. So I'm mentioning about this so as to demonstrate the point that violence may sometime be the solution to a problem. But of course, to solve problems by a revolution is not something that we want to lightly choose. And Professor Jang, as the Vice Chancellor of a leading university in this territory, you are, of course, part of the establishment. And I hope every one of us, especially those with powers in the establishment, should strive their best to avoid that people will eventually, inevitably, have to choose to use force to solve our problems. I hope you can bear that in mind. Now, I think Professor Yang will jump at me if I do not ask my question. My question is really this, Vice Chancellor. I actually understand that you were the first amongst all Vice Chancellors of this territory to issue a statement commenting on what happened at the Legislative Council on the 1st of July. And I heard your opening statements and observations tonight, which to me is much, much fairer than the statement you put out on the 3rd of July. Can I ask you this? If you had the opportunity to redraft that statement, how would you have done it so as to be fairer given all the circumstances and to take into account the reminder that I just made that you have a duty to make sure, to the best of your ability, that force will not be resorted to as a means to solve our social problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, I think the next person is it Kathy Wong? But Kathy Wong? No? Okay. Then I'm going to ask Wong Ka-heng to come up. And I think I may just deviate slightly where I'm going to take 3, and then we'll ask the President to respond. Mr. Wong.
Good evening, Professor.
Walk a bit closer to the microphone.
Good evening, Professor Zhang. I'm a year 3 student from Faculty of Science, and as I know, on last Wednesday, in the evening time, and I know that some mainland students, students from mainland China, intended to tear off leaflets or posters posted from the SU buildings, and these posters are about our students would like to oppose the government's idea regarding the promotion of the extradition law, and these mainland students intended to tear off these posters. And regarding this, may I ask if this is a kind of freedom of speech? Because, you know, like me, I'm opposed the government's idea, but by the time when the other students take away my posters or something, and I cannot express my idea freely. So may I ask if you agree with this or not? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm going to ask Mr. Lee to give his, sorry, the next student, Mr. Lee. Thank you, Mr. Wang. Mr. Lee.
Good evening, everyone. I would say it is the biggest luck in my life because I have never get this chance in my life. And first, my comment to all the protesters, to all youth, to all who divide and who despise those who not listen, those who is elected them undemocratically, and those who use a tyrannous way to rule us. I would like to say that is from Churchill. You ask, what is our aim? I can answer in one word. It is victory. Victory at all costs. Victory in spite of all terror. Victory, however long and hard the road may be. For without victory, there would be no survival. And I only have one simple question, because you keep saying that you wish to engage with students, you wish to establish a constructive dialogue with students. Then, have you read all the posters, all the memos that the youth, the HKU students have posted, have placed them on the wall outside your estates? And that's one simple question, because if you wish to establish a constructive dialogue, I think that's the most direct way. And so I now ask, what is your response to those memos, those messages that we have placed on the wall outside your house? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. Mr. Jang?
Now, there are three actually questions, right? So first of all, Mr. Liang, highly respected lawyer in town, and I had the honor to met him, I think my first month or two, and his colleagues as well. But with all the respect, I beg to differ of your view on the violence. I don't think the violence is the solution, because now what we are living today is a modern society. And look at actually today's the way we communicate. And in fact, actually, I have to say that even the protesters, your communication tools are so innovative, so innovative. Who gives that opportunity? It is the inventors. Those scientists, engineers, artists, who has the freedom to invent those things. Now, can you imagine that we have a war and we continue to invent the new computer chips, new type of arts? So I think actually the violence definitely, at least in my mind, personally I believe, is not the solution at all. And we should not educate our students like that. Now, I guess for your kind question about, with regard to my statement, how I would redraft it, first of all, I maintain my position against the violence of any type, by anybody, any party, at any juncture. So if you ask me, if I have time, I may make it longer to put more context. By the way, my message statement on July 3rd has two parts. The second part is really appeal to society, everybody from every spectrum of the political side to come together, have a dialogue, to talk, to communicate, to find a common solution. Okay, so I indeed have a very important message on my second part, but most of the, news and press, unfortunately, only have the first part, which concern people. Now, the second question, I think it's about posters was taken down by men and students.
Or anyone, actually.
Or, yeah, in that question is many too. So first of all, I think we should respect the expression of the freedom of expression. So the posters there taking down is not right unless you get the permission. Okay. Now, university has certain rules. It's not everywhere you can put a poster up. And certain area you put the posters, there's a time limit, I believe, a week or less than a week or a few days. So everybody has to obey the rules. But the other thing I'd like to also mention, and I think that's probably some students' concern, some of the posters are really, really nasty with 4 languages. And I don't think any, not even high-ranking university, any university should allow this. And this is terrible. You use a hate language or 4 language to describe somebody, or you can express against the views. You can express your view, but without the hatred. Okay. So I really like to remind our students and our community at Hong Kong U, we're not deserving this. This university is higher than that. We shouldn't go that low. I think I answered those questions.
No, and the third question.
Oh, third question.
Which is, have you read the posters? Have you read the posters?
Oh, I see. I probably didn't read every piece of small or big poster, but I read quite big, honestly speaking. It's sad to see some of the 4 languages, but I do respect, some of the very, good expression of the views against me, against my statement, that I take it. And I listen. Because this university is about we have a freedom to express different views. And my job as Vice Chancellor to hold this tightly of this freedom, to enable this platform so everybody can exchange ideas and debate, agree on disagree. That's how the scholarship, how the inventions, how the new form of arts can grow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think we have time for maybe one more round. Let's see, we'll get them from the bottom. Let's see who our Mark 6 winners are. Okay, well, if you don't indicate the program, I'm not going to read it out. Jeb Je Lam, BBA Year 1. Jeb Je Lam. Amber, doing a PhD in 2018. Amber. Li Wai Wing, Bachelor of Science, 1985, alumni. And Liu Chonghua, Bachelor of Science, Engineering, 1985. Okay, could you please all come up? Okay, is everyone here or no? Is it Tay Je? Is it Tay? Tay Je Lam. Je. And Amber? Is Amber coming? Okay. Lei Wai Wing? Lei Wai Wing and Liu Chonghua. Okay, good, thank you. All right, Je Lam.
Good evening, Mr. Zhang. So I have 2 questions I would like to ask. First, regarding the incident of police entering our campus uninvited, just right after a few days that you have promised police will not be able to enter the campus, I must say that it is clear that the police are intentionally trespassing and are looking for something. We should not accept such an irresponsible response made, claiming that they are just passing by. If they enter the campus again, do we accept another irresponsible response again? This so-called promise is not strong enough to make us feel safe, as police entered after you made promises as well. Second, regarding the response you made on previous night, you said that an investigation team should be responsible for investigating the police's abuse of power. May I ask, why were students and citizens being condemned right after 2 days of the July 1st incident? And however, with clear videos and photos of police using excessive force on citizens since 9th of June, they are not being condemned. I must say that these actions show your lack of concerns towards current affairs and uncaring of the citizens and students, and it's not what the HKU president should have done. The statement clearly showed your stance in this incident. Regardless you are being voted or not, as the president of HKU, you represent us all, and as scientists you've said, I doubt that you have think thoroughly before issuing the statement. It is fine for you to condemn all violence, but your biased statement is contradicting your stance. So finally, with due respect, please respond to our first demand. Will you or will you not withdraw the statement that you have issued on the 3rd of July condemning the citizens, which resulted a heated discussion among students? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Amber?
Hello, everyone. I'm Amber from Faculty of Medicine.
Thank you.
Actually, my question is very simple. The reason I applying for HKU for PhD study is I want to find a good university with good reputation and give me a lot of resources to study. But according to this 2 months event, I think our campus is too political. So my comment is about the poster. I know we already have a democratic wall to demonstrate our political comments or other comments, but still there are too many posters all around the campus, and a lot of tourists will visit our campus. I think it can kind of ruin our reputation because of some dirty words around the posters. So I'm wondering if the university will have more strict rules on all the posters other than the democratic walls. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Professor Jang?
So I guess the first question is about the police entry of the campus. As I stated already earlier, that we will not allow the police enter the campus if they do not have follow our protocol. So the yesterday's event, in fact, you can argue one way or the other. Our security force at the first time, the first moment they spot them, they actually alert the management and we start to take action. And that was our senior management, the first actually task in the morning. So we take a very prompt action already. And they apologized, this policeman apologized. So I definitely think that we need to hold this line and we need to make sure our protocol are respected in the future. And there's no question about it. We will like to protect our campus, our students, and so on. The second question is about the policeman excessive force, right? Excessive use of the force. As I stated before, the policemen, indeed, they can use a force. The question is whether use of the force is excessive, right? And that is actually, is not simply by watching section of video or something, there should be an investigation, and there is already a plan for investigation, and I hope that investigation outcome will tell us if indeed there's excessive use of the forces, and it should be condemned. Now the second question, third question, is about the posters. Is that right?
Well, I thought it was whether you withdraw your statement.
Oh, I see. I saw that you already know my stand through my several emails. I maintain my stand of condemning violence is the right thing to do. That is, on July 3rd, and even more meaningful today, after we watched last 2 weeks what happened. We are witness the society is further polarized. Things are getting more violent. We see the blood over the weekend. Do we want to see this further spiral down? Of course not. We, as a society, we need to work together, find the solutions. That include governments should listen to the people. And people also need to find a way, different spectrum of political sides, have to come together, find a solution. The first thing to find a solution is a dialogue. It is not to be bashful to each other or insist, hey, the violence is the one way to do. I don't believe so.
Okay. So the second student asked about whether you would implement stricter rules on posters.
Well, first of all, the posters, I even made a joke, actually, to a student. In this hall, in the one weekend, that was after the campus. There's a lot of posters against me and use the foreign language and so on. But I made a joke in one of the alumni gathering dinner here. There was a student helper here. I said, well, have you put up a poster yet? If not, you should put it up. Because this is the freedom of this great campus to express yourself. So I don't think it's anything wrong with the posters. And people should express themselves. It is welcome. But what we need to pay attention is whether the posters is hateful, is with four languages. That is discussed.
Okay, we're now going to turn to our two last commentators or speakers, Li Wei Wing and Liu Chonghua, right? So it's just one more. Okay, so Mr. Liu, please come forward.
Professor Yang, our Vice Chancellor, Professor Zhang, teachers, students, and alumni. I graduated from the university in 1985 as a mechanical engineering student. And after that, I will teach and research economics in another university. Just like what I know, we all know that Professor Zhang actually a prominent scientist in mechanical engineering. Actually, I admire him a lot on his contribution. But so with him, we are both scientists. I think science should base our theory, our viewpoint on facts. We build up the hypothesis, and then we try to look at the fact and confirm it or reject it. If we find that the fact doesn't confirm our theory, our hypothesis, we should withdraw the theory, reject the hypothesis. In the statement issued by the Vice Chancellor on July 3rd, the statement condemned the violence of the incident and also condemned the damage action. I think the Vice Chancellor based his statement on the fact that on that day, on the July 1st, protesters entered the Legislative Council and blocked several windows and other things. But we should not overlook, and I hope that our Vice Chancellor should not should see it as well, that we can't forget that in an earlier fact, on July 12th, the Hong Kong police, they shoot protesters, journalists, and indirectly leading to the death of 4 young persons. I think this is much more severe violence than just breaking several windows and other stuff. This is a damage to human beings and their life. And looking at this fact, I would just like to ask Professor Jang, will you make a similar statement on the violence done by the Hong Kong police? In fact, you have already answered this question. You answered to the press that you have to wait for independent investigation. I think most people there will know that this is a joke. Professor Lee Tak-ming, he can well answer you how such investigation will how independent it is. And I think this involves the statement on the Legislative Council and also the attitude towards the Hong Kong police violence actually reflect, I wonder whether it reflects a kind of double standard. Why don't we or our Vice Chancellor will ask for independent investigation for the July 1 event in the Legislative Council before you make the statement on July 3rd? To be fair and to be consistent and to maintain the moral integrity that is on our university status. And I hope that you can base your view on facts. And I suggest, or actually this is my question, if you insist not to condemn the Hong Kong police, then please withdraw your statement on July 3rd. Okay.
Salute.
Or if you choose not to withdraw, please condemn the Hong Kong police in another statement. As a scientist, what will you choose? I think if you withdraw your statement, and also further protect the student reasonably in a lawful way, I think you will become the most admirable Vice Chancellor early this century. If you insist not to withdraw the statement, you will lose the support from most students, and I think it's very hard for you to focus your work in improving the teaching and research in Hong Kong. As a Vice Chancellor, what will you choose? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, wow.
All right.
That's a tough one. Professor Jang.
Yes. Thank you for the very detailed question. And as I think, part of the reason I already explained to you in July 3rd, everybody, including my friends back in the US, asked, if you storm the Capitol Hill, which is the US Congress, or if you storm Greater Hall, which is the Beijing the legislature place, what will happen? You probably see very strong police reaction. And that's my fear I already expressed. In that day, if I condemn that, if you look at my statement, I condemn the destructive act, okay, whoever did it. Okay. Now, if the people goes in there, fight with police inside of that confined space in a dark evening, Anything could happen. I'm sure we will see blood. We're going to reach a very dangerous point of low return. So I hope you understand, and you are my colleague as a professor, things are serious. It's not a matter of just break the window or break the glass. So I want to really remind that this is not a simple matter. It's quite serious. It can lead to bloodshed. Many things could happen. And if you look at the last 2 weeks, we see gradually, in my view, getting worse and worse. Finally, we see the blood last weekend. Let me ask my colleague here, and also our young friends here, do you want to see blood? So we need to stop that. We need to stop that. Right.
Okay, Professor Jang, do you have anything else to add?
Again, I want to remind all the friends here that we concern this great university, and we care about our students, and we will do more to protect our students, definitely. Yeah. But be mindful, and we have to respect law and order. This is the success of this university, and any other successful societies as well. So,
okay, all right.
And also, the free speech is about freely express yourself, but also allow others to express themselves. So if you do not allow others to express, that's not right. So I hope Hong Kong U as a community, we need to listen to each other, understand each other's difference. It's okay to have a difference. And I have a lot of difference with my colleagues, my VPs, and so on. We exchange ideas, we try to come to a solution. So that's all I really hope our students.
So at this point, I think we're going to move to the closing speeches. And I'm going to ask Mr. David Wong to give his closing speech. I'm mindful of the time. We're actually over 7:30. The Vice Chancellor needs to go to another engagement. David? Did you? Oh, the mic. Can someone give the mic to Mr. David Wong?
Thank you, and I do hope Professor Zhang can answer the question by Mr. Liu later in your closing remark, that whether you will withdraw your statement or you will issue another statement condemning the violence committed by the police. And I think this is the gist of today's forum and also today's discussion, that the role of Hong Kong U that we should play in the anti-extradition law amendment bills campaign and also our current society. Hong Kong students do not need a lecture on discipline. But no matter how bad the situation can be when we are in the society, we always hope the university can be a home where we can find support. And I do think the Vice Chancellor should protect the students better than protecting the police officers. Therefore, to cut it short, I'd like to conclude the forum today with one last question to Professor Zhang. I'm sure quite a number of students are joining the protest on this Sunday, and maybe other future protesters as well. Do you have any words, messages, or even statement you would like to make to us? Thank you, and have a nice evening.
Okay. Professor Jang, you have the last word.
All right. Thank you, Devin. I'm mindful not to educate our students in this scenario. But since you invite me to give a few words for the student planning to go to this Sunday, this event, we care about your safety, and we will protect you. University is here for you. But watch out your safety and help each other, because your well-being is very important to the university. And my job as a vice chancellor here is provide an environment for your learning, for your personal growth at this institution. And even I can take some blames or criticisms, that's fine, because that shows how vibrant our society is. But when you go to the street, just be watch out and for your safety and for others. Okay. So let me say a few words before we conclude. Today, I really treasure this opportunity to have a dialogue, to listen to our students' concern, your anger, whether towards me or towards society or other part of the world. We are listening. And I guess I definitely feel the temperature. So this is good. And I will reflect. But let me remind also all of us, our staff, alumni, and students here. Hong Kong is a very unique place. We have been very successful, vibrant for decades. And we enjoy our freedom. We enjoy our quality of life. Of course, we're facing challenges, socio-economic, housing. Also, in terms of political side, there's a lot of disagreement. I want to ask all the friends here, what kind of life we are looking at next 20 years, 30 years, 50 years in Hong Kong? What kind of society we want? Okay, that's number one. And you don't have to answer to me. There are too many answers here. Number two, how we are going to do now, act. Because society certainly see a spiraling down situation. We have to save the society. We have to act. So I appeal all of you here and people in this society of Hong Kong, let's work together. Let's find the solution. And that's the only way we can get out of this dialogue. Thank you.
Okay. So in conclusion, I hope everyone would agree that I think we've had a constructive dialogue today. And I want to say thank you to everyone here in ensuring that we've maintained that atmosphere that is appropriate for a university in having this kind of a dialogue. And if I can come back to my two learning outcomes, if you feel that you have learned something new or that you have gained a better understanding of another person's perspective, would you please join me in thanking everyone today?
Thank you.
Okay, so this forum is, I close this forum. Thank you.